All right, welcome everybody to the June Queensland Records Network Group meeting. So not a big agenda today. Firstly, sorry, I'll just jump right into it. First thing on the agenda is vulnerable persons. I just wanted to know if anybody has started organising their vulnerable persons records yet, and if so, how they've started doing that.
Anyone?
No, I haven't. I don't know what I would be doing anyway. I'm not very good at this job, I'm afraid. But, yes. I don't know.
You have to get us up, give your hand, Marnie. I can tell you what we've done. So, well, what I've done for Berkshire Council, you know when they announced, going back a couple of years when they put the freeze out? When was that? Was that 2018 or 2016? I can't remember.
18.
It was 18, yeah. So, and they put the freeze, the official freeze out. So, went through a big exercise of searching through the record system, finding all the record classes that dealt with any minor, anyone under the age of 18, and any records that may be subject to that freeze. So it was hard to do a search, and try and find everything, because I found a lot of the terms I was searching on brought back every Microsoft email in the system and that sort of thing. But I eventually, I think, found everything and put it in a report, and we put a freeze and magic documents on all those to stop them from being disposed of until we, heard the outcome. So that was all done, and I think most of us did something. And, you had to write a report into QSA telling them what records you had and all that sort of thing. So I think most people probably got there with that. So now that they've released the, the new disposal authorities. There's Brad Pitt behind you, Krista. And they also added in all vulnerable people. So it's not just minors, child abuse, it was all vulnerable people, and they put in a definition of that. So that's aged care facilities and things like that. So what I did was found all the record classes in the BCS that I'd put a freeze on. I worked out, because there's the 3 disposal authorities, I worked out what disposal authority I thought was most applicable, or ones, I guess, that were left over, or ones that I didn't think that we had to put a change the disposal authority of. And I documented that all in a report. And then I also did a search on all the aged care, vulnerable people, all records that might be to do with that. Also included that in my report, and I've sent it off to the records officer at Berkshire Council and said, please take your CEO through this. I made recommendations and what I think we should do, and I'm just waiting. No one's gotten back to me. That's as far as I've got, and that was several weeks back now. It gets quite frustrating when you do all that work and you sort it all out, and then no one actually says, yeah, we'll take your advice, or no, we think you got it wrong. But yeah, that's the approach that we've taken. Has anyone else done anything?
Yeah, we responded.
Sorry, it's Debbie here from New Zealand.
Oh yeah, Debbie.
Hi.
So are you aware of what we're talking about? Because this is part of our state.
So I've got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, here in New Zealand, there is something around the vulnerable people, and there is inquiries and things being done here too. But I just have a question. It's not, you know how local government, New Zealand and Australia are the same but different?
Yeah.
So are you as local government in Australia, do you hold information that is vulnerable people-y sort of things that because we don't hold that sort of information in local government New Zealand that I'm aware of, but maybe we do, and I've just sort of pushed it away thinking it's only central government. So
well,
specifically, do they mention local government?
do you employ apprentices?
We have got cadets, which are similar, yes.
And are they minors? Are they under the age of 18? So if they are, then so you know, you could imagine a situation where you have a you know, a cadet in a one-on-one situation with someone in a position of power. So that person all of a sudden is, you know, considered a vulnerable person. Do you have daycare? Do your local authorities manage daycare centres?
No, not in our little district, no.
Right, yeah. A lot of our local authorities in Queensland, yeah, manage childcare centres, so they're all records that are important. Some councils even do aged care facilities as well. So you don't do anything
we don't
like
have
that?
Any, larger city councils might, but not in our district. I was just curious because I know New Zealand are looking, it is a thing, but I didn't know if local government should look at it or not.
Yeah, I think we've all had to really think outside the square. You know, I found that there were outside or school holiday programs put on by community services. That there was, you know, they look after the local swimming pool, so there are swimming lessons. So there are lots of situations where minors and other people who fall under that definition of a vulnerable person, they keep records for. So yeah, if you do, then yeah, it's something to think about.
Yeah, in our discussion,
Our library, we do have libraries and swimming pools, so thanks for that. I better look into it.
Yeah.
I think we do need to.
yeah, Krista from Douglas, we really went hard on this one in that we looked at everything that the library offers, because they do have a lot of grant programs and First Five Forever programs for children. And it's not only just children, anyone under 18, and the vulnerable could also include the elderly or people who have a disability and all those sorts of things. So we have the pools and the caravan parks that we had to consider. So there was things like, you know, if they're arriving, a family's arriving and they're staying in for a week at the caravan park and they've got kids, then that considers that. Like you said before, the swimming pool with the lessons and the clubs that go there, the swim clubs and so forth. Libraries was massive. Our sport and rec, we do school holiday programs and after school programs, but also for the grants part of it as well. If we're offering, like we do Active 8, which is a big grants application that we put in for many different types of sporting programs for the young and the old. So there's even though we don't have daycare or age facilities, we just sort of thought, okay, well, where could a kid go, or somebody vulnerable could go that is a council facility that we're holding some sort of record for? And it could even still be things like a photo consent. So if you've had a grant program where they've run it for the kids for what we call Activate, and they've had to sign a form to say that they're allowed to have their photo taken, then that's the type of record as well. So there's a lot more than I think the guidelines really gave us. They were just sort of trying to cover it generically, I suppose. But yeah, we went pretty full on with it.
I think you had to, you know, with this sort of thing, you had to err on the side of caution.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm just trying to get up the.
But we also have already, when it comes to disaster management, we have a vulnerable persons register, and we send out a form, but it's mostly aimed at people who might be living on their own or don't have family if it was time to evacuate with cyclones and so forth, storm surges and that. So we have been doing things along that line of work for a while. Admittedly, you know, we're a council who don't really chuck out much at all, really.
I'm just trying to find where they are. New ones. Can anyone remember oh, here it is.
So back in March 2020 is when the QSA sent something out.
So, yeah, I'm just having a look at the new authority. So there's 1558, which is incidents, allegations, disclosures and investigations of abuse vulnerable persons that you have to keep for 100 years after the creation. And then there was 1559, which is evidence of interactions and contact with vulnerable persons, which is all the stuff that you're talking about there, Krista. So yeah. it might not be an investigation or anything yet, but it could be evidence. And this is what they've said, we have to retain this until the 31st of December 2028. And the reason for that is that QSA are hoping by 2028 that they've been able to look into things more and be able to give us more advice on how long we should be keeping these records for. And the other one was, which 1560 is our governance practices for proactive protection of vulnerable persons. So, yeah, that's about any policies and plans and strategies and training material that we're putting together. And that's they're permanent things that we have to send into QSA. So they're the three new ones. So I went through all my records and said, okay, how do I apply what disposal authority do they fall under? And anything that was left over, I took the freeze off. Oh, well, I plan to take the freeze off. I haven't been given authority to do that yet from the CEO. But did you put freezes on your records, Krista? Or did you just list them? We
don't chuck anything.
You don't chuck anything. So your entire record collection has a freeze on it. Yeah.
And I'm not going to be around in 100 years' time to chuck it out anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah. Is there anyone else got any questions about what we've been doing or any other comment or thought on that?
Yeah, digitalisation, like do you believe you should keep the physicals of records if you have a digitisation process in place?
Was that you, Hannah? Oops.
Hello.
Hey Tina, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry I'm late.
That's not a problem. You're here now. Tina, have you been in a meeting this year? Have you met Hannah?
No, I haven't.
Hannah, you want to wave your hand again?
Hello.
I think you've met Krista before. You would have met her at the forum 2 years ago in Townsville.
Yeah, hello.
And you would have met Marnie from the forum too. Did you come last year, Marnie?
Yeah. And where were we last year? Yeah.
So we've got Gunda Windy on the phone. I think it's on the phone. We've got Debbie Clark's on the phone today from New Zealand. And I think that's about all of us that are in here. So we've just been talking about the child abuse records and what we're doing out. They've released the new disposal authorities. So, and then someone was talking about digitisation then?
So Hannah, I was just wondering with digitisation, if you have the process implemented for your council, would in this instance you still have to keep the physical source records of vulnerable person records?
That's a good question. Anyone got a thought? My thoughts are if you've got a defensible process and you've done a risk assessment and you've said that those digitised copies are as good as the original for your work purposes, then you can dispose of them. The only ones you couldn't would be the ones that fall under 1560, which are your policies and procedures, and that type of stuff. But most of that stuff would be born digital anyway. So, what do you think, Hannah?
I would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the best way to go, but I was just wondering if the group had any thoughts.
So I asked my CEO if we could do that, and he basically said no, we will continue to do archiving as per normal. And then in our system also, I've got the QDAN numbers on them. However, our CEO has asked for us to keep all records permanently on the system.
Mm. Which is you're talking about all your records, not just the child abuse records. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because your CEO, with all due respect, doesn't understand the risk of keeping records or not disposing of records. Krista was just saying that's what they do at Douglas too. They just keep everything. And it's, there's a lot of reasons to dispose of things. It's easy to say, no, keep everything, because then you don't have to think about why should we dispose of things. But there's definitely a lot of benefits. Oops.
Yeah.
I'm going to try. Janine and Liz are coming in again. So you'll have to get me up there. One day when I'm coming through, I'll have to sit down with you and your manager and have a chat.
Plus
get your
6
CEO. Oh, Christy's also coming in. Oh, we've got a lot of people.
Hi, John.
Is that Janine?
Yes, it is. Sorry, Liz and I are very late, but we've been trying to get in.
No worries. Christy's joined us.
Yes, apologies for my late join. Things are a little crazy here at the moment, so.
Okay.
So, does anyone have anything else to add to the vulnerable persons, management of their vulnerable persons records discussion, or? No? Okay, no worries. So next item on the agenda is support information sheet. So I was just wanting to put an idea to the group of having a spreadsheet, say, available for our group members, which says what each council has done, for example, and who they could, who your contacts could be for support. So along the lines of like North Burnett Regional Council, and there'd be options up the top like digitisation, vulnerable persons management, high risk record register, on-site, off-site storage, mold damage, etc. And it'd just be like a little tick thing. So if you wanted to talk to someone about their experience with mouldy or water damaged records, you can see that North Burnett's had them, say Gympie's had them, Cloncurry's had them. So you have some easy contacts instead of emailing the group. I was just wondering what everyone thought about that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yep, sounds great.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Although I would have to be under another category. That would be the one, no knowledge.
Fantastic. I'll send out an email to the group with some suggestions of what things can be on that spreadsheet and ask for any additional suggestions. So like I know we here at NBRC do right to information privacy as well. So some councils might do that, some might not. So just stuff like that as well.
Excellent.
Awesome. So that one I think would be best to be available on the QRNG page that John has on the CorpMem website. It won't have contact numbers or anything. It would just be the council name and then, you know, easy enough to Google the contact number for a council.
Yeah, that'll be good if everyone's happy with that. That'd be great.
Yep.
Beautiful. Krista's had to leave the meeting. Bye, Krista, if you're still with us. And the last one that was submitted for the agenda is destruction of physical source records. It was submitted by Aaron. Is Aaron online today?
Aaron's not online.
Oh,
So that's a shame, isn't it?
well, we might put that one to the next meeting then, when
Yeah.
Aaron can join us and ask his question. Okay, and lastly, just an around the councils of questions that you might have for the group. So how about Marnie starts?
Well, I do have a question, but yeah, this group makes me nervous because I don't have much knowledge of this whole information record thing. Yeah, so it's, well, John, you'd know anyway. In our, we have all our personnel records, so employee folders, and I've been trying to go through them all, make sure that everything is on Info Expert. So I started with the terminated employees, I've done the casuals, and now it's the full-time permanent ones. But it's people who've been here for so long, they've got their leave forms. None of them are in Info Expert, but I want to get rid of them out of the folders because it's so thick, and it's just, so I've been trying to index them in, but I just wanted to know, once I've done that, because, well, our system doesn't bring up automatically the retention schedule thing, and I don't think our system is correct. Is that right, John? Because you've had a look at it.
It's not fully configured, not configured at least the best way it could be.
And I don't feel like I've really had support to get it correct. So I just really wanted to know if I index them in, those physical records, I was just going to put them in a box and just keep them in a box. Is that okay? I don't know.
Just between, my advice would be if you want to, you want to digitize them.
Yes,
Scan them.
and I want to get rid of the originals in the folders so that they've got more room, because they're just taking up too much room.
Okay, the short answer until you get everything right is if you want them digitized, make sure that they're text searchable too, just to make them easy to search on. Then getting some feedback still. I've got to stand back from put them in. The main thing is that you know what box they're in, so that you can find them when the time comes to find them.
Yeah.
And then I'm happy to work with you and sort of get some ideas on how you can sort of do that more efficiently. And it can sit there and wait until you're ready to get your system properly configured with a really usable BCS and some of the automation in place, and then get all the records in the right spot. So if you'd like, I'll give you a call after this meeting, Marnie, and have a bit of chat about it.
Yeah, all right. Because I don't make these decisions.
I realise that, yeah. But to just give you some ideas, because it's a big job, manage the executive level often just think it's a really easy admin task, record keeping, but there is a lot to it.
All right, that will be good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll give you a call.
All right.
Do you have anything? Janine and Liz, sorry.
No, I don't think so. Not this week. Thank you. No, thanks.
Debbie?
Hello. No, I don't really have anything this week. Heaps of things are going wrong, but I just want to say, Marnie, realise there's heaps to learn with record keeping. Heaps and heaps. I've been doing the job for years and I'm learning things every day. So be fine. And I was going to say, I'm enjoying this group from New Zealand because in here it's good to meet other people and learn from others. So keep asking questions and there's heaps to learn. So it's good to keep in touch. But yeah, I've got no questions.
Thank you.
Wendy?
No questions from us.
Tiana?
No questions, but we are updating our magic in the middle of July finally to 8.6, I'm pretty sure it is. So we'll see how many problems there is.
I was talking to Julian Smith, who's the customer and partnerships manager from Magic.
Yeah.
And he was saying, and I think we've heard, Christy, you're on 8.6 now, aren't you? Christy, I think Christy is. Aaron, Buck, Alden are. Everyone has been talking about some problems, but Julian Smith is saying that they think that, like Aaron was saying, their search stopped working. And someone, was that Christy might have been saying that too, that they had trouble when they went to 8.6, that the search stopped working. But he said he believes they've got all those issues resolved at the moment. So good luck with it.
We didn't get the one-touch sign-in, I think it's called. I didn't get that for the time being, so I didn't think that it was necessary.
The single sign-on?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So
if you don't have,
yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
John,
Chris.
there's a lag on my end.
Yeah.
We didn't get single sign-on either. Our staff absolutely hate the fact that every time they want to edit a document, they have to put their credentials in. And if you are similar to us, where you have some group users, so for example, we have a shared login for our development team, because all the tasks go to a shared login, and they're always dealt with then. There's no risk of them not being seen. So if you turn on single sign-on, you can't use group user accounts, shared accounts.
Okay, yeah.
Which is why we haven't turned it on. So,
yeah.
And yes, we did have searching issues, which was only resolved by them implementing a different, I don't think it was a different indexing, a different searching tool or something in there. But that was because our volume of documents, our volume of records was huge, and it just couldn't cope with the volume. So, and we've also been having some issues recently with it randomly starting to re-index in the middle of the day, and therefore not being able to do keyword searches.
Yeah. Aaron's just joined the meeting. Christy, were you saying that now, because you don't have single sign-on, people have to enter their credentials every time they want to edit a document?
That's right.
Wow, they've really messed that up. That would be really frustrating. The other thing that I found is that if you sit there for a while, like an hour, that you have to log back in. I'm not sure it can be shorter than an hour. So it just like makes you refresh your login regularly, which is really, really annoying and frustrating. I really don't know why they've done it this way.
That's the one thing that frustrates the employees here, is if they go into Info Expert and then they don't go in there for a couple of hours, and then when they go back in there to have a look for something, they've got to log in. That's what frustrates them the most. But
yeah.
I just don't think it's worth the $400 or whatever it was just for one-touch sign-on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is what's good with a group like this. If we get enough people talking about it, we can actually approach them and say, do better.
Yeah. Even the search in our version at the moment.
Who's going?
Sorry, we've got some delays.
You go.
I was just going to say a new little issue that we found, which I think is probably linked to a recent patch, is when we send a task to someone with an edit requirement and you go to edit it from the new tasks, pretty task area, as opposed to the in tray, neither of the options to edit work. So it won't launch it with Office, and it won't launch it with the, when you launch it with the Navigator, I don't think it even worked with the Navigator either. When you tried to edit it, it would come up with a blank document. So there's something funky going on in there. You have to actually go through the shortcut menu and choose the little arrow and choose the edit option from there to get it to work. So it's definitely got its quirk.
Not working at all, Christy.
Sorry.
We've just upgraded to 8.6 at MBRC, and we're finding that our Navigator doesn't work at all.
We had those issues in the early days as well, and the workbench wouldn't work either, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's our problem. With your shared accounts, though, just wondering if you guys have looked at delegations in the task inbox, because you can do that now.
Yeah, we have looked at that. And it may work. We'd have to go back and retest. Delegations originally wouldn't let you reassign. So if I had an in tray and I delegated it to John, so he can deal with my tasks, it wouldn't let him reassign any of my tasks elsewhere. That may have been fixed now, but I'd have to go back and look at that again, because we may have resolved the issues about why we needed to keep those shared users. Because initially when we saw the delegations, we're like, oh, wow, this is going to fix everything. You know, we don't need to worry about it. But then when they couldn't reassign, which is primarily what they need to do, they're sort of like a gatekeeper role. So we'll assign the task to an admin team within, say, development, and then they know who's working on which applications at any given time, and then they can reassign the task to the appropriate development officer. That wasn't working originally, so we'll have to check whether that's been fixed in one of the latest patches or not. And it's still, if I remember correctly, the tab key still moves backwards in the connector.
So middle of July, did you say, Tiana, for your upgrade?
Yeah, that's the soonest that they can do it.
Really for you. Questions, Tiana, or? Any questions, Christy?
Christy, I may have muted your mic. I'm trying to find out where this feedback's coming from. So if you find it and I was listening to you, it's because I've muted your mic. You might have to unmute it. That goes for everyone. Sorry.
Christy, do you have anything for the group?
I'm muted now, sorry. Any questions? I'm wondering where we're at. Are we still planning on a face-to-face later this year?
Christy, could you repeat that?
Are we still, is the plan still to have face-to-face get-together later this year?
With the forum?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe at this stage we're not doing one this year, just with everything going on. hopefully we'll be able to look at it next year.
Yeah, I think that was the plan. One of the things that, like, the Queensland RIMPA conference was scheduled for, I think, August, and I've cancelled that one too. And they're doing it next May, and it's going to be up in Townsville. So when it gets a bit close to that, I thought we could put it out there and see if a group of us want to sort of get together and attend together. That'd be a great opportunity for some of us to catch up in person and, you know, at least have a bit of a good time together. And it's always a good conference that they put on. So that'll be at least an opportunity for us to get together, but definitely maybe looking at, again, October next year for putting on our own for.
All right. Well, Aaron can't ask us any questions. Is there anyone that we've missed?
Aaron's joined us.
He said he can only listen today.
Oh, okay. Right.
Nope. Awesome. Well, our next meeting will be in August this year, and we'll send out a meeting invite closer to the date. Okay, fantastic. Have a lovely afternoon, everyone.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.